Everybody join me on this edition of the show is a good friend of ours on the show, a guy I always go to talk all things Kansas City Chiefs, Jeff Fedotin. You can check him out on Forbes Sports, where he writes about the Kansas City Chiefs and co-host of the Bleav in Chiefs podcast. Jeff, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Phillip. It's always fun being on with you, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, coming off the loss to the Bills, 28-21. This is just a weird series in ways because the Bills always win in the regular season. It now seems they've won 5 straight regular season matchups, but then when they meet in the playoffs, it's the other way around, where the Chiefs always seem to win with their 4-0 record during the stretch of Mahomes versus Allen in the playoffs. So, just kind of a weird deal with these two, but the Bills did come up with the win on Sunday.
Yeah, crazy. And after the game, like the players acknowledged, like Dawson Knox on the Bills said, "Yeah, we'll probably see him again." Chris Jones, the best player on the Chiefs defense, said, "Yeah, for sure, we're going to meet him again." So yeah, it's a weird thing, and and part of it might be like most of the games during the regular season have been in Arrowhead. That gives them an edge. This year it's might be a little bit tougher for the Chiefs to get a lot of home playoff games sitting at 5-4 though.
Yeah, it's been kind of up and down with them to start the year. And my thing too, which I could have Chiefs, but with the Bills, it's like in the past in this game when they've won, just like, okay, maybe that gives them a little bit of confidence for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's kind of like we've seen this before, and we've seen it with other teams in the
Yep.
AFC where they
Yep.
have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season. But it's kind of like for me with them until one of these AFC teams can knock them off in the playoffs, which the only team that's really been able to do it has been the Bengals and early on the Patriots with Tom Brady. But outside of that, these teams could, beat you in the regular season, but they just have not been able to do that in the postseason.
100%. And some of that the Chiefs are, I think during the broadcast they were called cockroaches in a favorable way, and I think that's that. I think that's a great description in the sense they're hard to kill, man.
Mhm.
That coaching staff is so good. Patrick Mahomes is so clutch and so competitive. This is a game actually. The Chiefs were really completely outplayed. Mahomes complete under 50% of his passes. He was on constant pressure. They abandoned the run. The Chiefs on the other side couldn't stop the run. First 100-yard running back they've allowed since Christmas of 2023. They couldn't stop the tight ends. Yet here they were. They were like a 40-yard heave, which is not out of the realm for given Mahomes' capability of tying or winning that game.
Yeah, because his not his last throw, but the one before that,
It
it
was
got there.
dead
It got
dead
there.
on. Yeah, yeah, right. That was a great throw. The Bills don't make a if the Bills don't make a really good play on that ball, and their secondary was really good. Rookie Maxwell Harrison, second year player Cole Bishop were outstanding all game long. But if they don't make a play on, I think it's Tyquan Thornton. Yeah, that's a touchdown. And I think the Chiefs probably go for two. The way they had struggled to stop the Bills all game, I think they would have gone for two. I think they're so creative on goal line stuff. I think they win that game if that pass doesn't get broken up.
Yeah, I really think, to be honest with you, that's kind of like the smart play, especially in the regular season. Just, unless you're like, okay, maybe if you're fighting to get into the playoff, maybe you go safe there. But like you're in a place with the Chiefs, or what, like you said, like they could do in that situation, just the kind of, scenario if that had happened. I think going for two is the part, especially going on the road.
Especially going on the road. And the Chiefs had not really consistently stopped the Bills. They had 28 points with a lot of time off. I actually thought the Bills went too conservative.
Hmm.
Sure, James Cook was doing great, and I get that you want to leave the Chiefs with very little time, but like on the very last play to set up a field goal, you run up the middle. I put it in Josh Allen's hands. I may fake it, roll out, put it in his legs, at least let him get closer field goal yardage, maybe use a little bit more time. And you still, I know the running game is great, but Josh Allen is Josh Allen too. You got to trust him to make a play. So, I'm roundabout way of saying that I think the Chiefs were moving the ball so well. I think going for two would have been the right call there for the
You know,
Chiefs.
and you mentioned, I mean, they got after Patrick Mahomes in the game, 3 sacks. I think he was hit 15 times.
15, yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, he was under 50%. First time he's ever done that in a regular season game, being under 50%. Did you see anything differently or something? What was giving Kansas City those troubles?
They did some creative coverage things, and their coverage was better. Again, Cole Bishop had the game of his life. He had, I think, maybe 4 pass breakups, some really key ones. Maxwell Harrison is a rookie who's been hurt most of the year. He's getting more and more reps. I think this might have been his second game back. Sorry that I need to be more up on my Bills stats. I'm up on my Chiefs stats, but not the. So that was part of the problem. Mahomes was a little off, but most significantly was just the offensive line. For a while there, we know the Josh Simmons situation. He's been out. Jalen Moore has been solid, but he was a little leaky against Commanders. So they have Jalen Moore at left tackle, Juwan Taylor at right tackle got hurt. So they had Wanye Moore. So you have 2 backup tackles, and we know this is Mahomes' Achilles heel. If he gets pressure, we've seen it in the Super Bowl. He becomes a little bit more mortal, a little bit more human. So I think the biggest part was the offensive line issues. But again, credit to the Bills secondary, and also Mahomes has been fabulous this year. But he did not play his best against the Bills.
Yeah, he had that interception, about 4 minutes left in the game into double coverage. And, we kind of go back on the pressure. That's what happened on his last throw. I mean, he got pressured. He could not really step into it. So if that play even had been caught, it would have been well short of the end zone. So, yeah, the Bills were doing a good job on there. You mentioned, on the other side with Chiefs really good defense. So that's one thing you can always pretty much rely on this team. Their defense is going to be solid. And I always like to look at this. How good were you in the red zone? How good were you on third down? That's some big football stats. I always look. I mean, the Chiefs were like 3 of 13 on third down. I think that was key. Bills were 7 of 12, 3 of 3 in the red zone. You mentioned the run game with Cook and a little bit with Allen in the run game. And, Dalton Kincaid just looked like all pro tied in this one. All offensively or defensively for the Chiefs. What were some things that stood out to you on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I'm a little like James Cook got over 100 yards. Like I said, broke that streak that they had going since 2023. The run defense wasn't great. I'm a little less concerned about that. Just you're facing the top ranked rushing offense in the league. That's no shame in that. The real concern, you mentioned Dalton Kincaid. The Chiefs gave up 141 yards to tight ends. That's just you can't do that and win, especially when a team has that good a running game too. And this has been an issue. It's a really good defense. I think Coach Steve Spagnuolo is the best defensive coordinator in the game. So they're really sound. They've been in the same system for so long, so many of those players. And the linebackers are really good. Nick Bolton is so smart out there, big hitter. Leo Chenal is so versatile. He can play. He can be a spy. I didn't see him do too much against Allen, but he has in previous Bill games. He can play as a rush end. He's blocked key field goals. He won the Broncos game last year so he's so versatile. Drew Tranquill is another really good linebacker, but for this year they've been a little bit leaky in kind of the pass into the flat, pass to the tight end. I think Chenal and Bolton, as good as they are, might not be elite in coverage, and Tranquill should be the guy that is. He's a former defensive back in college, so he should be the guy that is. But he struggled a bit. He tripped on the first Kincaid touchdown. He was beaten on another. So that's one issue. And then the other thing, too, is Chris Jones has been very good against the run this year. He's getting constant double teams, but he always gets that. He has not been the pass rusher that he has been for most of his career. And that's greatly impacting him. So those are the two issues. Still a really good unit, but those are the two kind of areas that they need to improve.
You kind of alluded to it, when we started this conversation too. Like they got outplayed, but still, at the end of the day,
Right.
you had an opportunity. The missed field goal there went off the upright for Buffalo. You got the ball with a chance close to midfield. So still going into the off week, if you're Kansas City, you can't be feeling too bad because ever since the 0-2 start, they've gotten the receivers back. Hey, Travis Kelce, are we seeing a reemergence with him? He's playing really well this year. I think a lot of people kind of had saw maybe a little dip in his performance last couple of years. He seems to be playing really well. But if you're the Chiefs, you got to be feeling good going into your off week with all things considered.
Feeling good. I still think they're the team to beat in the
Mhm.
AFC. You look around. I'm not sure. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later. That uh, who is necessarily better for them. The biggest concern, rather more than like personnel, is they've put themselves in a pretty tough situation. They're in third place in the AFC West. At 5-4 at this point, it's going to be tough. They've had almost every year. They've had this great path. They get the number one seed. You get the bye. You only have 2 games. You don't have to leave Arrowhead. They won a Super Bowl going on the road. 2023, they beat the Dolphins at home in the first round of the playoffs. Then they beat Buffalo on the road, beat Baltimore on the road, the AFC Championship game. So they can do it. They certainly can do it, but that's really tough to keep.
Mhm.
You make it much harder on yourself. More games, there's going to be more injuries, and it's just really. So I think that's the challenge for the Chiefs. I think there's still a really good team. Still have Mahomes, still have Andy Reid, but it's going to be a much tougher road. And I think this team, they've always had such a large margin for error. They could have their B game, they could still beat you because they've got such good coaches, such good players. We've mentioned Spags, Reed. They can beat you in so many ways. This team, I don't think, can beat you in quite as many ways. So the margin for error is more slim. And then when you're going on the road, it's again more difficult. So I think that is the concern for the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, of course, when they come off that off week, they'll be back on the road at Denver, which,
Huge
normally
game.
it
Yeah.
it will be for them because where you say where they sit, third in that division, of course, with the Broncos and with the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. That's uh it's going to be interesting. The Chiefs are so good off of a bye that I probably at this point I like their chances against Denver. Um, if they win that, everything's in play. If they lose that, they're in trouble in the sense like I can't see them winning the division. They'd be 2.5 games back of Denver and still behind the Chargers too. So huge game coming up in a week from after the bye week. A huge game.
As you mentioned, they sit overall in AFC eighth place. When you look at the overall standings, we're going to play a little contender or pretender here with Jeff real quickly because when you look at AFC, you see a lot of teams' names there. You're like, are they really this good or not? You got the Colts sitting there. They just lost to the Steelers. They're 7-2. Daniel Jones, completely. Of course, I think the key is to get away from the Giants because we saw what Barkley did, and now we're seeing what Daniel Jones is doing. It seems to be that's the recipe to have a better career. You just got to get away from there. But do you see the Colts as a pretender or contender?
I actually see them as a contender. I think they've got a pretty good team. Now, I'd be absolutely shocked if the Colts go to the Super Bowl, but I think they can win I don't think they're the best team in the AFC, but I think they can win a game or two in the playoffs. I think they're that good. I think they have a really good roster. Here on Tuesday, they just added Sauce Gardner too. That was kind of their weakness was their defensive backs. So yeah, they've got a great running game. They've got a lot of targets for Daniel Jones. They've got Lou Anarumo, whose last name I just butchered, but I know his resume and I know how good he was against the Chiefs when he was the defensive coordinator, the Bengals, and they've got some good players there. DeForest Buckner, Zaire Franklin, Charvarius Ward, who's been banged up, and all the. So yeah, that's how I feel about the Colts. I think they are a legit team. I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl though.
I know we're starting to get little memories of what the Patriots used to be a little bit. Drake May, all things. He's like that guy everybody loves right now. Everybody loves Drake May right now, and for good reason. He's playing really good football. They're leading the division barely over the Bills, half a game, which they do have a victory over. But anyways, how you feel about the Patriots, pretender, contender?
Yeah, I think they're contenders too. I think they're a little bit like the Colts that they can maybe win a game. They might win that division. I think they're contenders just because Drake May is outstanding right now. I
Mhm.
think he's a serious MVP candidate. When you have a great quarterback like that, you've got a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. The next opponent for are the Chiefs, the Broncos. Bo Nix is playing really well. I mean, that team, their offense has really been clicking since that comeback over the Giants.
Yeah, I think they're a contender because I think they might have the best defense in the NFL. Pardon the dog barking. Hopefully that's just adding some color to this pod. But
Always love it. We're pro dog here on the Phillip Jordan show.
good to hear that. So yeah, I do think they're contenders. I think they have the best defense, probably the best pass rush in the NFL. I worry they're not offensively dynamic enough, but man, they've been clutch the last several weeks, winning all these games in the fourth quarter. I think they are contenders.
Yeah, speaking of an Auburn writer and person that follows the team, I remember a lot of that with Bo Nix. You just
Yeah,
don't know.
I guess so.
Sometimes you just don't know what you're gonna get with him. I think the Steelers are sitting fourth in the AFC, and it's weird. I thought, okay, Aaron Rodgers goes there, they'll run the ball, they'll play defense. No, the defense isn't that great. They don't have a great run game, but Aaron Rodgers still looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I actually think they're pretenders, and that's in spot like Aaron Rodgers has been one of the positives. I think he's been really good. He's not what he was, but I think as far as managing the game, making key throws, they have no running game. I think that the defense was so good against the Colts. They do have a pass rush, but their secondary is a mess. Yeah, I don't think they might make the playoffs, but I don't see them going anyplace. I don't think they'll win a game in the playoffs. They might. I think they have a good shot at getting there, though.
Yeah, yeah, and I did not know he still had the capability of throwing a
Yep.
70-yard Hail Mary a
Oh
few
yeah.
weeks ago.
Great pass. Just like we said, the Mahomes pass that Tyquan Thornton didn't work. That was a great throw by Rodgers. Not his fault that that it wasn't completed. He gave his team a chance, which is all you can hope for in that situation.
Yeah, I think that's been the most talked about incomplete pass thrown this entire NFL season. Real quickly, and we just got talking about the team. We figured. I'm pretty sure you're gonna say this contender, but the Buffalo Bills sitting there at 6-2.
Yeah, I think that they are contenders. I was actually thinking maybe they weren't after that two-game skid, especially losing to the Falcons and not really even being that competitive in that game. I'm like, this team is that can't stop the run and not, but they showed. I think they showed enough. They have an easier path. They really got to. They've really got to help themselves by. The Patriots, like we said, are legit. They've really got to get that division so that they can get some more home games in the last year in that stadium to really give themselves the best shot, though.
Yeah, the dominance of the AFC East ain't sitting with them this year like it had
Right,
been the last
right.
couple of years. The Chargers, they're an interesting team. They got the quarterback. I think they got the coach, and they're a physical football team. I think they're built for postseason play, but still, they hadn't got it done in that area. Do you think this is a team that could make a run?
I think they are pretenders because I'm a huge Harbaugh fan. I think he's an amazing coach. I'm a huge proponent of Herbert too. I just think this team is too banged up. They
Mhm.
if they're down their starting running backs and Joe Alt, who his dad was a longtime Kansas City Chief. He was a roommate of my podcast partner Joe Valerio. He had been playing great. They're down Rashawn Slater and Joe Walt. Mekhi Becton's been in and out. I think this is going to be one of the best offensive lines in football, and they were going to really assert their will. Now it's a huge Achilles heel. So I think I would have really liked this team as a Super Bowl contender. I just think right now they might sneak into the playoffs. They're without the two tackles out for the season. I just don't see it.
And the team sitting right ahead of the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs have, over past middle of the season, got to be, want to bang their head against the wall. The Jaguars sitting there at 5-3. A game you probably figure you look back, man, the Chiefs just should have won that. It just kind of scratch your head on how the Jaguars beat the Chiefs. I feel like the Jaguars are pretenders. I think they have good players and they have the capability of beating good teams. But no, they're not going to be a threat in the playoffs. But what you think?
Totally agree. And a part of it is that like I was so wrong. I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be the next big thing. I thought he'd be like the next Mahomes, and he's just okay. He makes kind of some dumb errors. Even when he beat the Chiefs, he was making kind of silly plays and stuff. So I think that's a big part of it. Like I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think if they do, I don't think they're going to make much noise.
It's wild with him. Like you said, he will make some boneheaded throws, but he'll also make like that one throw he made on that last drive against the Chiefs, where it's just
Yeah.
a few guys can make that throw. So it's
Mhm.
just if you're a Jaguar fan, you got to be. I thought from Dayton from his freshman year, Clemson. I'm like, okay, this is the next Peyton Manning or
Same.
level guy, but it just hasn't turned out that way. So interesting. The AFC is a jumbled up conference. There's going to be a good team that does not make the playoffs potentially if everybody keeps playing when they're playing. So it'd be interesting. And that was a little pretender contender here with Jeff on the podcast. And Jeff, it's been fun having you on. Chiefs are all, so you get a Sunday just I guess you can chill out, just watch everybody play. You ain't got to be focusing on one team, but the listener viewers will check out where they can find you.
Yeah, Phillip, I'm definitely looking forward to just kind of sitting back watching the other games. Always fun being on with you. Check out my podcast with my partner Joe Valerio, former Chiefs offensive lineman. We're on Bleav in Chiefs, BLEAV in Chiefs, available wherever you get your podcasts. And also check out my stories on Forbes.com. Again, the name is Jeff Fedotin, Fedotin, so you can always Google this stuff.
Everybody, go follow Jeff's work. Does a great job keeping up all on things Chiefs. And Jeff, appreciate the time, and I look forward when you do this again.
You bet. Thanks, Phillip.